Why, hello everyone! Welcome to another sleep week. This is really exciting. I haven't done one for a while. This one's going to be a little bit different than the other two I've done, which I believe was medieval and also ancient Rome. So this is going to be the Japanese sleep week from the 14th and 15th centuries. Now, finding information on this specific period and what kind of mattresses Japanese people slept on during this time was a little bit complicated. Normally I go and I make my own mattress and stuff it with straw, but actually at this point in time, people are sleeping on tatami mats, which you can see behind me, along with my massive pile of laundry and fabrics that I need to sort. I am not capable of making tatami mats. It's actually quite the art and skill to know, so I don't have that skill nor the space or the materials to be able to do that. So I actually managed to find a manufacturer that makes tatami mats in a traditional way, meaning that they're made with igusa, which is the grass that is used as the outer part, and it's stuffed with a rice husk, which is how it was done typically traditionally. Now often in traditional times, the edging here was finished with some type of silk brocade, especially for those that could afford it, but in this case it's cotton, because that's the more modern alternative to that. Igusa is a rush grass, and it's what tatami mats are traditionally made of all throughout history in Japanese culture, which is really cool, and it has this incredible smell. I love it so much. Some people really hate the smell, but I've been really enjoying it. This is actually in my bedroom currently, and so I've been waking up in my normal bed these past nights and just smelling the igusa in the air and how delicious it smells. It smells like hay or fresh cut grass, so it has a very nostalgic smell. A lot of modern day tatami mats are often made with synthetic materials, so I'm really grateful that I was able to find a manufacturer that actually made it without any synthetic materials. The main source image I'm referencing for this period is this one right here. And as you can see, this is probably individuals that are a little bit wealthier because you can see that they have the silk brocade trim on the tatami mats, as well as the blocks under their head, which was typically utilized for shoguns or geisha, anybody who kind of needed to protect their hairstyles. I myself will not be sleeping on one of these wooden blocks at night because I did a little bit of research into it, and it turns out that you can increase your risk of having a stroke if you do this. So I have to play it safe and not increase my risk of having a stroke in the night. So I have a little bit of an alternative, which is that I made a pillow based off of materials that would have existed during this time. So something that perhaps someone with less money maybe would have used, or someone who didn't need to protect their hairstyle in the night. And that is this pillow right here. It is made with a hemp canvas on the outside. I actually took the pillow that I made for I think either the ancient Roman or the medieval sleep week, and I took the casing of it, took out all the straw, and ended up filling it up with buckwheat husk, which is a byproduct of the buckwheat industry, and something that would have been very readily available to individuals because it would have been just a waste product, basically. After filling it with buckwheat husk, I just took a needle and thread and stitched up the side that was open so that way nothing would fly out, and it has a really nice noise. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it's also very dusty when I shake it. Oof, maybe I shouldn't do that. A really interesting thing about the 14th and 15th centuries is that people actually aren't using tatami mats as flooring yet. That doesn't happen until later on. Tatami mats in this period are specifically used for sleeping and for sitting. And a lot of people think of futons along with tatami mats, but that's because in modern times, a lot of the more traditional style of Japanese sleeping is done with a futon on top of a tatami mat. But in this period, actually, futons don't exist yet. They're not really seen until more in the industrialized era in Japan. And so because of that, people are just sleeping directly on tatami mats, at least those who can afford them. I think for the individuals who couldn't afford them, probably something like a simpler rush mat might be more viable. My first impression of the tatami mat, just sitting on it here, is it's comfortable, but it's pretty firm. I was expecting it somehow to be a bit softer, but yeah, it ended up being a lot more firmer than I expected, which is interesting. I'm curious how long it's going to take my back to get used to everything, and whether or not I'm even going to find it comfortable. And I actually have two tatami mats because I'm going to be stacking them on top of each other. In this image that you can see that I'm referencing from the 15th century, you can see that there actually are, it looks like, two stacked on top of each other. So I wanted to try a night using one and then another night using two tatami to see if it makes any difference or if it feels less or more comfortable. Let's go and get this all set up and then we can start the experiment. Cat. Here I am on my tatami mat setup. You know what? This is actually pretty nice. I like this. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, to be honest. And this pillow is surprisingly supportive. You know, I've heard a lot about buckwheat husk pillows because they're actually pretty popular right now in the world. I have to figure out what to do about my blanket situation. I ordered some hemp batting, but it hasn't arrived yet, so I think I might have to suffice with using wool blankets for a couple of nights or a few nights until it does arrive, and then put together the blanket that I was going to originally put together. But we shall see. Anyways, things are pretty good. I'm excited for the evening, and we'll see how it goes. I'll see you all tonight for night 1. It is night 1. As you can see, I'm here in my tatami mat. Can you actually see the tatami mat? Well, what can I say? It's pretty firm. So I suspect I'm probably not going to get the best night's sleep. I can sometimes sleep on the floor for like a night or 2. And my friend kind of pointed out that it's a bit funny that I'm sleeping at the foot of my bed because it's like my very comfortable bed is just right over there taunting me and saying, ha ha ha, you're over there sleeping on the hard tatami mat and I'm over here with my nice, amazing mattress. I sleep on kind of a medium firm mattress, so I'm not like using a super soft mattress anyways, but it's a very big difference when you go from sleeping on a mattress to a tatami mat. There's a period of adjustment, definitely. I bet I'm gonna find that out the hard way. Maybe it'll go really well, who knows? I'm trying to be positive. Since my hemp batting hasn't arrived yet, I am here with 2 wool blankets and I'm sleeping in my tatar dress that I made and a silk robe over top to kind of mimic Japanese garments that may have been worn for bed as much as possible. I don't know how to make Japanese clothing, and also it's not my culture and I wasn't invited to make those clothes by someone directly, so I won't be doing that, but I will be wearing my own culture's clothing as a sort of version of that. Wow, I'm so incredibly tired. Best of luck to me, and I figure if I'm absolutely dying and waking up every hour or something, I will just go and lay in my bed for half of the night. Just trying this out as long as I possibly can without it going really badly and then I'm miserable tomorrow. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens. Let's hope for the best. See you all in the morning for day 2. Well, morning 2. You know what I mean. Good morning, everyone. I just woke up. That was a rough night. Can you even see me? Yeah, you can. So much waking up. I think I woke up maybe 6 or 7 times, 8 times. I'm so tired. I just could not get comfortable. I got pretty cold as well at a couple moments. Yeah, it was just not easy at all. Hold on, I'm gonna draw the blinds so you can see me better. Oh, there we go. It's too bright. It's too bright. I'm gonna do this for 7 more days. I think in history people got used to this, so I know based off of people I've heard that sleep now on floors every day or on tatami mats, it takes often a couple weeks for your body to get accustomed to it. I heard that the first week is so rough, so I think I knew what I was getting myself into anyways. Still, I'm here and I'm doing this, so yeah. I'm probably gonna have to take a nap at some point today. Not on the tatami mat, just to kind of get my body to relax a bit because it's so achy, everything hurts. Alright, well, I'm curious if night 2 is going to be any better. Bright sun. So nice having some sun. I tried to get some sleep this morning and it sort of worked, but it didn't totally happen. So I'm still a bit in a sleep deficit, but I'm doing a little bit of knitting now to relax and enjoy my evening before I have to do the tatami mat all over again. I'm kind of excited at this point though, because I feel like the changes of how my body will feel are just around the corner, so I'm looking forward to that. I was pretty surprised to learn that knitting was actually first introduced in Japan in the 1500s or 1600s, so it has a fairly old history there. I only learned how to knit last year actually, thanks to the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. I originally took the class Knitting 101, Everything You Need to Knit with Confidence by Vincent Williams, who is a phenomenal teacher. And although I've gotten quite accustomed to knitting and purling at this point, I do sometimes refer back to Vincent's instructions for a long tail cast on, especially if it's been a little while since I've picked up the needles. This truly is the course that got me on my knitting journey, and I've made some beautiful pieces ever since. I mean, look at the beginning of this lopipesa that I've made very tailored to my figure. I think it's absolutely beautiful so far. Vincent demonstrates all the information super well and clearly. Skillshare is a learning platform where a variety of classes in different subjects are taught by real people and designed for real life. And you can learn any skill at your own pace. They help millions of people build new skills, foster creativity, and reconnect with curiosity. Everything is in bloom here now with it being spring, and I can feel my creativity blossoming alongside the flowers. So I've been enjoying picking up my hobbies and working with my hands to move away from screens. And I also think the pink of this jumper is just perfect for the springtime. Skillshare is the best place to learn a creative skill or pick up a new hobby. If you're looking to reconnect with your own creativity and maybe avoid brain rot, Skillshare is where humans come to learn from other humans. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code here on screen will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now I'm going to finish up my knitting for the evening and then get ready for another night of tatami mat sleeping. It is night 2 and I'm back on the tatami mats. I've stacked 2 now, so I'm hoping this will be a little bit more comfortable. But I have to admit, I am struggling. I wasn't able to take a nap today and I am just so exhausted. I haven't felt this tired in a really long time, and just a lot of stuff going on in my personal life too. So just a lot of intense feelings and exhaustion. I'm going to give it another try tonight and see if I can sleep on the tatami mats and manage to get comfortable. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, my body's getting more used to the firmness and that I'll get a better night's sleep than I did last night. I also just put on a couple more layers of garments because I don't want to be cold tonight on top of being uncomfortable. It's like such an awful combination. Hope that maybe I'll just wake up 3 times tonight instead of 6 or 7. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. I can do this. This is for science. This is for experimental archaeology. I can do this. Oh, I'm just dreaming of my bed. It's literally right there. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, I miss you so much, my dear bed. I miss you so much. I'm just thinking like of the warm blanket and how perfectly comfortable it is. And I'll see you all in the morning. Sleep well. Wait, I hope I sleep well. See you all in the morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm looking a little bit chipper, but that's because I'm pretty sleep deprived. This time in the night, I only woke up 3 times, but I also only managed to get 6 hours of sleep before my body was just like, nope, I can't get comfortable anymore. So I am going to put myself on bed rest, and I'm gonna try and sleep for another few hours today in my actual bed to just give my body a little break from this hard surface. I really need that right now. Ugh. My hips are definitely in the most pain because I'm sometimes a side sleeper. So yeah, I also had such a weird dream. But yeah, today I'm just going to try and take it easy and replenish my energy so that way I can get through another night of tatami mat sleeping. I do feel like it was easier tonight though. Maybe it was because there was 2 of them, so it made it a little bit more soft. It's not like it's a soft material, you can see here. Doesn't have much give, but maybe because it wasn't floor underneath, it was like another tatami mat. Made it a little bit more flexible, I don't know. But yeah, it could have been worse, so I'm gonna take it as a little bit of a win. It's a cozy rainy day outside right now, which is perfect for bed resting. So I will see you all a little bit later on. Let's get into bed. Oh my god. This is the moment of truth. It is so comfortable. Oh, why? Why did I do this tatami mat thing? This is so comfortable. I just just can't believe how nice this is by comparison. I just knew you all needed to see my organic reaction for the first time laying on a comfy bed. I'm gonna cry over this. I think I might. Oh. I'm just emotional and sleep deprived. Well, what do you know? It's night 3 of the sleep week. Well, I'm gonna try to sleep mostly on my back this time around. That way, hopefully my hips won't hurt as much in the morning. I am so tired though, and I keep having these intrusive, dreamy thoughts of imagining myself in my bed. And then today I was watching a video and someone was just sitting on a cushion. And I thought, wow, that cushion looks incredible. So comfortable. Yeah, my brain is going through it. It's going through the soft bed withdrawals. But it is interesting because every night that I've sort of stepped foot or laid down on this mattress, it does seem to feel a little bit better. Or not mattress, but tatami mat, which is, yeah, a form of a mattress. It does seem to feel a little bit squishier and a little bit better, so wish me good luck. I'm just so tired that I'm just laughing hysterically because I don't know what else to do. Good night to you all. I am a little witch. Oh, this candle's really smoking a lot. Good morning! I'm feeling so much better today. I actually got a surprisingly okay night of sleep. I think I woke up maybe 3 times. At one point, I'd only gotten about 5 hours of sleep, and I was like, nope, I have to try and get myself back to sleep now, so that's what I did, and somehow managed to fall asleep again, and woke up quite a bit later, so yeah, I think that's a bit of a success, I would say. I really think the thing that made a difference is actually this jumper I'm wearing. It's a tiny bit padded in the sense of the wool is cable knit, so it has a little bit of padding to it, and somehow that just took a little bit of the pressure off of my hips, so then my body was able to get more comfortable in the night. But this is definitely way better than the first night, way better than last night, so I think we are making some progress. Woohoo! That's great. In this period in Japanese clothing history, people actually are wearing garments to bed a lot of the time. You can see in this picture, for instance, how the thing on top of them is also clothing. And these specialized garments were sometimes padded, at least a little bit later in history. So I do think in a way that probably would have offered a little bit of extra comfort at nighttime sleeping on the tatami mat, because it would just create, yeah, another little layer to be able to get a little bit more comfortable. If you're scared of spiders, I suggest that you skip forward to this timestamp so that way you don't hear what I'm about to say. Right before bed, I needed to use the bathroom, and in the bathroom there was a giant spider. And I love spiders, so I'm not normally afraid of them, but it definitely shocked me. And I was so nervous about it crawling into my bedroom and crawling on my face in the night because I'm basically sleeping on the floor. So I had to put it in a glass just overnight so that way I could release it today. But anyways, I'm gonna get going with my day and enjoy the spring outside. And I will see you all tonight for night 4. Woohoo! Hello everyone and welcome to night 4. I'm actually feeling pretty optimistic about tonight. Not going to lie, the first 2 nights were definitely rough. But it's amazing how quickly your body can get used to things. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that I actually ended up putting my tatami mat not in the northern direction because I was reading that this can be very negative to put your head towards the north. And this is due to something called kitamakura, which is called the north pillow. Essentially, it's the belief that sleeping in the north can bring bad luck. So I'm not doing that. I think I'm maybe east or west, but not north. I know that for sure. I checked with a compass. I'm gonna get all cozied up into bed, snuggled up, and I will see you all in the morning for day 5. Okay, see you then. Hi everyone. This morning, the people checking my boiler arrived super early before I even could get out of bed. I was not expecting them to arrive so early, so I wasn't able to record first thing when I woke up, but here I am now. I managed to sleep the whole night through for the most part. I mean, I woke up after only 4 or 5 hours of sleeping, but that's because of something else. And then I tried to go back to sleep for a bit and was only able to sleep a little bit, but yeah, not too bad I would say. I didn't end up waking up a bunch of times in the night, so things are getting easier. Also, I've noticed every time I sit down on the tatami mats now, which I'm currently sitting on, it feels just that much softer underneath me. It feels nothing like the first time I stepped on them where I was like, wow, these are really firm. Now they actually feel, yeah, a lot more manageable somehow. Still no sign of my hemp batting, so I may have to just do something else. I need to think about what to do. Just wanted to provide this little update so that you all know that I'm alive, I've survived, and I managed to get a little bit of sleep. I definitely need more, and I'm having a hard time napping today. Alright, see you all this evening. Why, hello there. It is night 5 of sleeping on this tatami mat. 15th century-ish Japanese mattress. Tonight I'm wearing 14th century style European medieval clothing with a lope on top. Yeah, it's a bit of a hodgepodge of styles, I would say. I'm pretty tired tonight, as you can kind of probably tell by the fact that I'm a little bit delirious and restless. But I have got here a little upgrade. My batting still hasn't arrived, but something else does exist, which is the old mattress cover from, I think, my ancient Roman sleep week, and it's made of hemp. So it's a nice heavy hemp canvas. So I'm going to try and put that on me tonight, as well as the 2 wool blankets, and see if I'll be warm enough. And I think I should be. I'm going to drift off to sleep. And somehow tonight the tatami mat feels a little less comfortable, so we'll see if I manage to get through the night. Good night to you all. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. I am in a very good mood today for some weird reason. There are so many sakura blooming right now. This is definitely one of my favorite times of the year. And it's very fitting considering this is a Japanese sleep week. I slept fairly well last night, actually. I was perfectly warm. And thanks to this canvas cover, I actually think it worked so much better because it basically just trapped in all of the heat from the underlying wool blankets, which of course wool doesn't come in until later on in Japanese history, but for the purpose of the sleep week and so that I don't freeze to death in the night. I woke up, I think, only twice in the night, and I managed to get maybe 6.5 hours of sleep, so not my ideal amount, but it could be worse. Also, I have to say, I love these buckwheat husk pillows. This is something I want to incorporate, I think, into my usual life because they are just so comfortable, and now I could have some extra pillows for my own bed. I guess it just really molds to your head, so that's why it feels nice. Alright, well, I'm gonna get up and start my day and go and spend some time with the sakura and enjoy some beautiful trees, and I will check back in tonight for night 6. Good evening, everyone. It is night 6. Night 6, wow. We're gonna see if my body likes sleeping on the tatami mat tonight. I put on some rose oil, and it smells really good. I'm gonna go to bed, and I'll see you all in the morning to tell you how it went. Fingers crossed. It'll be a good night. Good morning. It is morning 6. My hips hurt quite a lot. I somehow managed to get through the night. I did wake up, I think, every hour, maybe every other hour. So it wasn't the best sleep of my life, I'll say that. But I must say, having this hemp cover over these blankets acts as sort of a weighted blanket, and it's weirdly soothing and relaxing because it has a bit of weight to it. I also was plenty warm because it is spring, so at least the weather is starting to get a lot warmer, so inside it's also getting a lot warmer. I'm still not getting used to the tatami mat all the way, and I'm not totally sure why. We're gonna give it one more night and see if it's any better. If it's not, then my conclusion is that, at least for my own self, I would probably need more than a week to adjust to it. Of course, everybody is different, so maybe other people would adjust to it more quickly. But I can imagine if you sleep on one of these your whole life and you don't know anything different, that your body would find ways to adjust. The body's kind of amazing like that. I will see you all tonight for the final evening. Good evening. It is night 7, the final night. Wow. I'm so ready to sleep in my own bed again, I must say. Tonight, I'm wearing kind of a funny outfit. It's my tatar dress that I made. That's my silk party dress. So this is like fancy tatar clothing from the 19th century. Though, to be fair, it was just wealthy townspeople everyday clothing, but for nowadays it would be pretty fancy. And underneath it, I'm wearing my wool jumper, And what I'm doing right now is I want to test and see basically what it might be like to have worn a padded silk kimono to bed. So this is like my culture's version of that, I guess is the best way I can put it. I actually don't know what Tatar people wore to bed. I've never been able to find that information, so if any of you happen to know, please do let me know, because there's not a lot of information on the clothing out there. So yeah, it looks a little bit funny with the way I'm wearing it right now and how I'm sitting, but it's basically an experiment to just see what the two layers together are like, and if it's more comfortable then, because obviously I don't have a padded kimono or a padded yogi, which is what would have been worn. I just love that people were wearing versions of their everyday clothing to bed in Japan during this period. It's awesome. When I was researching for this video, I went down a little bit of a wormhole learning about how people stayed warm in the night, because I was like, how are people keeping warm when they're sleeping? I think this picture from the 14th century that I keep showing here is a reference image. I believe it's summer because you can see here the fan being used. So I feel like there's not as many layers needed, but during winter it would have been pretty cold in some areas in Japan. So people would have needed the proper clothing. Obviously padded kimono or like a padded yogi is a very great option for that. But then also there's something which is still used in Japan today, which I already knew about, but I didn't realize it was this old. It's called kotatsu, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But it's a device, or I don't know if device is the right word, it's a feature of your home, essentially, that helps to keep you warm. I don't know if you know this, but it actually originates from the 14th century, according to what I was able to dig up. It was originally developed from a Japanese hearth, and then a quilt would be laid on top so you could keep yourself warm. Now today the way that they're used is often an electric heater, and then the quilt gets put on top, and people sit around together and they sit underneath these cozy spaces to keep warm, which is so cool. And because this quilt gets placed on top of whatever heating element is chosen, it ends up trapping in the heat, which keeps people nice and toasty. I'm not completely sure what the quilt would have been made of, but from what I could dig up, reasonable materials may have been hemp fabric with a hemp or rami batting inside, quilted basically, so I feel like that could be possible. Cotton isn't really that big during the 15th century yet, so things like rami and hemp would be a lot more likely, I would guess. Maybe silk for very wealthy people, but I think you'd have to have a lot of money to be able to afford a silk quilt for your house. I also learned about another pretty awesome thing, which is something called makuru gayashi, and I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, but again, please do correct me if I'm not, because I couldn't actually find a pronunciation properly anywhere. But this term in English translates to pillow flip. And basically what this is it's a type of Japanese spirit that comes in the night and flips over your pillow. Another thing that they tend to do is change the direction of your head and feet. So if your head is here, you might wake up with your head in the other direction, and if your feet are here, you might wake up with your feet in the other direction, meaning that it's probably best to sleep east to west or west to east, because then if the Makura Gayashi spirit comes in the night and flips you around, at least your head won't end up in the north if you're laying originally in the south. I feel like that could be not good. And you find this spirit referenced in stories from the Edo period as well as up to the modern period in Japan. I'm not sure how old they are, if they extend prior to the Edo period. And interestingly enough, if someone were to die in a room, they would maybe be seen as the room's Makura Gayashi. So they would become the pillow flipper of that room if they were to pass in there. And scarily enough, there are some legends where they don't only flip pillows, but they also take some people's lives in some of the legends. So yeah, the spirit isn't only a prank spirit, but much more sinister sometimes as well. So the reason why pillow flipping is considered to be significant is because in ancient times in Japan, people believed that the soul left the body whilst dreaming, and so if your pillow was to be flipped in the night, your soul actually couldn't return to your body when you woke up. So whilst it is technically a prank, it is actually a lot more serious for those that believe that their soul can't come back into their body, which sounds terrifying, honestly. I wasn't expecting this video to be creepypasta, but it ended up that way, I guess. Anyways, I think that's enough ghost stories for the evening. I am going to have my final night of sleep, and I must say my dress is very warm so far, so I feel actually very comfortable in it. It does feel a lot like wearing a giant quilted garment or a giant quilted blanket. I'm also gonna put my other blankets over top, but at least I have this as my foundation, which is much better than the first night when I was super cold. Also, silk is just such a great material for insulation. I'm always amazed by how warm even a thin layer of silk can be. And yeah, it's really great for that. I can kind of understand how people in Japan survived without wool for so long with wearing silk garments in winter. Alright, well, time for bed now. Good night, everyone. See you in the morning. Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to say I slept through the entire night without waking up. This is the first time that has happened this entire week, I think. I'm gonna move this candle holder. I was super comfortable. I was very warm. My garment really created an extra little bit of padding that made it really nice on my body, actually. None of my body hurts. And yeah, I got a very good night's rest for the first time in a while. So I'm feeling much better today, as you can see by the increase in my mood. In fact, if all the nights went like this, I could definitely see myself sleeping on just a tatami mat for a lot longer. But still, I am ready to go back to my bed, I think, because it is just a bit nicer than being on the tatami mat. But yeah, I can totally see how with time people were probably able to adjust to this and be really comfortable, especially with their padded garments that they were wearing and laying on top of themselves. I'm so glad that this whole week ends on a high note, because I would have been feeling a little sad if I ended with a day that was like 7 sleep disturbances in the night again. So yeah, great news. Thank you so much for watching this sleep week. And I will be back, I believe, in 2 weeks for another video. Alright, see you then. Bye!